Ganache is very versatile. We are going to use it today to fill and frost our chocolate cake. Using high quality chocolate is important since our ganache only has 2 ingredients. I prefer to use chocolate bars because they have more cocoa butter and don't contain stabilizers like chocolate chips do. Of course, chocolate chips are fine if that is all you have. I prefer to use a semi-sweet chocolate because it has a nice balance of sweet and bitter. The ratio I'm using for this whipped ganache is 1 part chocolate to 1 part cream. You can use a 1 to 1.5 ratio if you want a lighter, more mild whipped ganache. The ratio is measured by weight, so we are using 8 ounces of chocolate and 8 ounces of heavy cream. If you choose to do a 1 to 1.5 ratio, you would use 8 ounces of chocolate to 12 ounces of heavy cream, or 8 ounces of chocolate to 16 ounces of heavy cream for a 1 to 2 ratio. Bring your heavy cream to a light simmer. Once it starts to steam and gently bubble, take it off the heat and add it to your chocolate. Give your bowl a little shake and let the mixture sit for 5 minutes to allow the chocolate to melt. After 5 minutes, give it a whisk until the ganache is glossy and smooth. Add a pinch of salt. You can flavor your ganache with instant coffee powder, vanilla extract, rum, or in this case, I've added a bit of Kahlua. Once everything is combined, cover your ganache with cling wrap and make sure it touches the top of the ganache to prevent a skin from forming. Let it sit on the counter to set up at room temperature for at least 4 hours or longer if you want the ganache to be more firm. If you're in a hurry, you can put it in a large, shallow pan to speed up the process, or you can throw it in the fridge for a couple of hours. Now moving on to our cake. We are going to bloom and wake up the cocoa powder to give our cake an even more rich, intense chocolate flavor. I'm using 2 types of cocoa powder here. You can use all regular cocoa powder or all dark. The dark Dutch processed cocoa powder gives the cake a less bitter flavor, and if you've never had Dutch processed cocoa powder before, think of the chocolate part of an Oreo cookie. Whisk until there are no more lumps. The coffee helps bring out the chocolate flavor, and you can't really taste the coffee in my opinion, but if you're worried about it, you can just use hot water. Once combined, set aside to cool while we get our other ingredients ready. Sift your dry ingredients into your wet ingredients. Once it's mostly combined, you can add your cooled chocolate mixture. It shouldn't take long to combine, so don't overmix it. Here's a tip. Bake your cakes in advance and wrap them with saran wrap and put them in the freezer until you're ready to stack your cake. I take them straight out of the freezer, build my cake, and let it sit to defrost once it's all decorated. I find it's easier to frost when they're cold. My ganache has been sitting on the counter for 4.5 hours. It has firmed up nicely but is still spreadable. The longer you let it sit, the more firm it will get. You can use it as is, or you can whip it up to make it a little lighter. If you choose to whip your ganache, be very careful not to over whip it. Doing so will cause the ganache to become grainy. I whip it until it just lightens and gets a little thick. This cake is pretty rich and decadent. Think Matilda chocolate cake. So if you want something to help balance out the richness, you can opt to use whipped cream instead of ganache. Or you can change the ganache and do the 1:2 ratio or 1:3, using more cream and making it lighter and almost like a chocolate mousse. One last tip for you guys today. If you don't have a cake turntable and don't want to spend a ton of money on one, you can find one of these Lazy Susans that are super cheap. I got mine at Target for like $5 and it works just fine, especially since I'm not making cakes at home all the time.